we will solve a problem, linear programming problem by using simplex method. The problem states like this: maximize the function z is equal to 10x1 plus 11x2 subjected to the constraints 3x1 plus 4x2 less than or equal to 9, 5x1 plus 2x2 less than or equal to 8, x1 minus 2x2 less than or equal to 1, x1 greater than or equal to 0, x2 greater than or equal to 0. So this is a standard type of maximization problem. So here x1 and x2 they are called as basic variables. Basic variables. Of course, we have to find out those values here. To solve the problem, we have to introduce some other variables called slack variables. Slack variables, I am going to denote it as S1, S2 and S3. So number of slack variables depend on the number of constraints. So there are 3 constraints here. So therefore, we have to introduce 3 slack variables. And the last constraint says that x1 and x2 both are positive. Greater than or equal to 0 means they are positive. They cannot be negative. That is true. So this is the problem. Now we have to find out x1 and x2. Once you find out x1 and x2, then you can find out the maximum value of z. So yesterday also I have explained one problem in the earlier video class, that is 6th class, 5th class I have explained. Similarly, we will do this. Now by introducing the slack variables, these constraints can be converted to equations. So these constraints become now 3x1 plus 4x2 plus s1 is equal to 9. So you can observe here that this less than or equal to will become equal to by just adding this first slack variable. For the second constraint, 5x1 plus 2x2 plus s2 is equal to 8. For the third one, it is x1 minus 2x2 plus s3 is equal to 1. So this is how we have to convert inequalities to equations by introducing or by adding the slack variables. Now the objective function, this is the objective function. This objective function is written in this fashion. If I bring this to LHS, these two terms become negative. So what I will write here is minus 10x1 minus 11x2 plus z is equal to 0. So this is how we have to convert the inequalities to equations, and then objective function is written like this. So these 4 equations can be written in the form of a table. So as I already told in the last class, simplex method is an iterative method, or I can write it as array 1, array 2, array 3, or iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3 like that. So first iteration I am going to do by writing the coefficients. So I will just tell you how to write the coefficients. First, in the first column, you have to take S1, S2, S3 and Z. So this is the first column, S1, S2, S3, Z. This becomes the first column. In the second column, we have to write the RHS values, 9810. 9810. This is the second column. Next, in the third column, we have to write the coefficients of x1. That is 3, 5, 1, minus 10. In the fourth column, we have to write the coefficients of x2. 4, 2, minus 2, minus 11. So this is how we are going to write the table. So first step is to write the table like this. The table is also known as array, or you can call it as iteration also. Now this is the first thing. Now here, what we have to do here is, let me write this in the form of a array, rows and columns. So these are the rows. There are 4 rows and 4 columns here. Now here, since these are coefficients of x1, I write here x1. These are coefficients of x2, therefore I write x2. So this is what we have to do. Next, what we have to do here is this last row you have to see. In the last row, whichever is having the highest negative value. So this minus 10, 0, minus 11 is there. So this is the highest negative value. Highest negative value you have to choose. So that minus 11 is the highest negative value. The column corresponding to that. So see here, this column is called as the pivot column. So you have to take the last row in which the values are associated with z. In that last row, whichever is highest negative value is there, corresponding to that column, you have to mark. That is called as the pivot column. Next, what you have to do here is, second point, you have to divide these values by the values in the pivot column. So these values. That means divide second column elements by respective pivot column elements. So if you do that, what happens here is 9 divided by 4. 9 divided by 4 is 2.25. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So then 1 divided by minus 2, which is negative. I write negative. So you have to the last one you have to leave as it is. Only you have to divide the second column elements by the pivot column elements. Now except the last one. Now among these two, if negative is there, you should not consider that. The least among the positive. So 2.25 is there, 4 is there. Among these two, the least positive is this. Least positive is 2.25. So corresponding to this, whatever row is there, that becomes the pivot row. So see, this is the pivot row. Got it? So least positive value corresponding to that least positive value, whatever row corresponds to that is there, that is called as the pivot row. Now we got pivot column as well as pivot row. The element which is common to these two, is 4. So this 4 lies in pivot row also, in pivot column also. Therefore, this 4 is called as the pivot. 4 is called as the pivot. So that means for the first cycle or in first iteration, so we have found out the pivot column, we have found out the pivot row. Common element is 4. That 4 is called as the pivot. So this is the first iteration. Now we have to move on to the second iteration. So iteration 2, I will write here array 2. Or it can be written as iteration 2. So actually we have to repeat this iteration till the last row, all the elements become positive. So repeat the iteration till the last row elements become positive. So not even single element should be negative. Last row, all the elements, there are 3 elements here. All these 3 elements should become positive. Till that we have to move. Now, to go to, if you want the second array, so here what we have done here is this x2 now, this x2 corresponding to s2 is the pivot column now. Now what we have to do here is, for to get the second array, this x2 and s2, these two should be interchanged. These two should be interchanged. That means if you write the first column, what happens to first column? This becomes S1, this becomes X2, this becomes, this is same S3 and this is Z. Please note that replace or interchange X2 by S2 by X1. That is what we have to do. So we have to replace this S2, whatever is there, by this X2. So this we have to take here. This we have to take here. Now let us see what are the elements now for the second iteration. So what we have done in the first iteration, same thing we have to do for the second iteration also. But how to fill these elements? That is the question. Here of course we have written directly the coefficients. But how to get the elements in the second iteration? What we have to do here is, now here three things we have to keep in mind. Yesterday I have explained that. So what we have to do here is you take the pivot row elements. These pivot row elements are divided by pivot. And pivot is replaced by its reciprocal. So these conditions you should remember. Replaced by its reciprocal. Next, third one important is this pivot column elements. Whatever may be the pivot column elements are divided by pivot and its negative value is returned. See, these 3 points you will keep in mind to get the second table. So there are, once again there will be 4 columns here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have to fill all these elements. To fill all the elements we have to follow these 3 points. First point is pivot row elements are divided by pivot. What is the pivot value now? Pivot value is 4. So pivot is 4 now. 4. So pivot row elements means these elements 9, 3 and 4. These are the 3 elements. In that we have to divide this 9 and 3 by the pivot. So that means it becomes 9 divided by 3. This becomes 9 divided by 4, sorry, pivot is 4. This becomes 3 divided by 4. Got it? And yes, you observe this. Pivot is replaced by its reciprocal. That means this 4 should be replaced by its reciprocal. So here the first value now 9 by 4 means 2.25. This is 0.75, this is 0.25. So this is what I have done from the first two. Okay. Now let us apply this rule. Pivot column elements are divided by the pivot and its negative value is returned. That means this is the pivot column. Pivot column. So 2 divided by 4, correct? 2 divided by 4. But I have to take negative of that. That means minus 0.5. Correct? Next, minus 2 divided by 4. But I have to take negative of that. It becomes positive, 0.5. Then, this one, minus 11 by 4. Minus of that. That is 2.75. See, these are the values. So now I have used this condition, this condition, this condition. Now what about other elements? Another 6 elements are there now, 3 plus 3. For those elements, the condition is like this, other elements. So these other elements are filled by using this previous value minus element in the pivot row multiplied by element in the pivot column divided by pivot. So this is the formula which is used to replace other elements. Now let us see how it happens. So now I have to replace all these 6 elements I have to fill here using this concept. So first I will take 8. So what will be there in place of 8? Let us see. Previous value means it is 8 only. 8 is the previous value. Minus corresponding to this 8, whatever element is there in the pivot row and whatever element is there in the pivot column, we have to multiply them. But it corresponding to this 8, 9 is the pivot row element, 2 is the pivot column element. So 9 into 2. Divided by pivot is 4. Got it? This is how we have to do. So this becomes how much? 8 minus 18 divided by 4, which is 4.5. So that is 3.5. So this value is, but this is how we have to do. 3.5. Now coming to this second 1 is there, 1 minus. I will apply the same rule. Corresponding to this in the pivot row, 9 is there. Pivot column minus 2 is there. Correct? 9 and minus 2. 9 and minus 2. So that means 9 into minus 2 divided by 4. So it becomes 1 plus 18 by 4 is 4.5. It becomes 5.5. So this value becomes 5.5. Next coming to the 0. 0 minus corresponding to the 0, pivot row element is 9, pivot column element is minus 11. So 9 into minus 11 divided by 4. So it is 99 by 4. 99 by 4 means 24.75. So it is 24.7. Okay. Next, coming to the second. Here, 5 is there. 5 minus, now it will change. 5 minus, what is the corresponding pivot row element? 3. Pivot column element is 2. So 3 into 2. This is this into this. 3 into 2 divided by 4. So it is 5 minus 6 by 4 is 1.5, 3.5. It becomes 3.5. Got it? Next, 1. 1 minus corresponding to this 3 into minus 2. 3 into minus 2 divided by 4, which is 1 plus 1.5, 2.5. So this value is 2.5. Next, coming to this minus 10, minus of 3 into minus 11. 3 into minus 11 divided by 4. That means it is minus 10 plus 33 by 4.
Minus 1.75.
Minus
1.75.
1.75. Minus 1.75. These are the values. These are the values in the second table. Okay? Now, we have to do this now. Now, among this, once again, you can observe here 24.75 is positive, minus 1.75 is negative, 2.75 is positive. What I told? Now, in the last row, highest negative value is there, highest negative value is this, minus 1.75. So, this becomes the pivot. Got it? This becomes the pivot column because this is highest. Highest negative is, other two are positive. Only one negative is there, that itself is the highest negative value. So this becomes the this becomes the pivot column. Now we have to fix the pivot row. To fix the pivot row, what we have to do? We have to take the ratios for this. Ratios. So if I take the ratio, now for the first one, what ratio I have to take? 2.25 2.25 divided by which value? 2.25 divided by, here what I have done?
4. 0.75.
Hmm?
0.75.
So see here 2.25. Now here what happens? This is S1, X2, S3, Z, you know, and the corresponding this will become X1 and X1. This becomes X1. This becomes S1. Like this. Now because this X2 is replaced by S2. So that S2 that X2 S2 will go. Here S2 will go instead of that X2 will come. Now here once again what we have to do? We have to divide the things now. 2.25 divided by. Now this becomes the pivot column, you know. So we have to divide now 2.25 divided by 0.75. Correct? These elements. So 3. It becomes 3. Correct? 3 another 3. Next one. Here 3.5 divided by 3.5, which is 1. So we have to divide these values by the pivot column elements. 5.5 divided by 2.5. This is 5.5 divided by 2.5. 2.2. Correct?
2.2.
Among these, see how I have taken? Among these I have taken least positive. Least positive is 1. This is the least positive. So corresponding to this becomes the pivot row. Pivot row. So pivot row is this now. This is pivot row. So this is pivot column. This is pivot row. Therefore, what is the pivot?
3.5.
3.5. So next pivot is 3.5. This becomes the pivot. That becomes the pivot. So this is how you have to take the second table. Now, what I told, we have to repeat this till you get all positive in the last row. So next one more array you will do. So array number 3. So if I take array number 3, same these conditions we are going to apply for getting the array number 3. So I will write now array number 3 table. So normally 3 or 4 iterations it may take. Maximum 4 maybe. Yes. Now I will take third iteration, array 3. Now array 3. Now what happens? This S2 is replaced by X1. X2, S2. I think here S2, S3, Z. X1, S1. Now X1 is there. One second. This should be X2. This is X2. This is replace S2 by X2. X2, S2, S3, Z. Like this it will come. This is X1, S1. Replace S2 by S1, S2, S3, Z is in the first table. In the second table, X2, S2, S3 and Z. And in the column it is X1 and S1. Next table, what we have to do here is, we have to replace that S2 by X1. So these two. these two should be replaced. So because this is pivot row, this is pivot column, those two should be replaced. So that means here now x2, s1, x1, then these two remains s3 and z. So this is all pivot. Okay. Yeah. Now let us try to write the third iteration table. We will use the same procedure. Now pivot value is 3.5. So pivot is now 3.5 for the third iteration. Now we have to proceed the same lines. Pivot row elements are divided by the pivot. So what are the pivot row elements? 3.5, 3.5 minus 0.5. But this pivot should be replaced by its reciprocal. Continue. Only these two we have to divide them. So that means here 3.5 divided by 3.5. It becomes 1. This reciprocal I have to take 1 by 3.5. What is the value? 1 divided by 3.5 is I think 0.286, correct? 0.286. Then here minus 0.5 divided by 3.5, which is 0.143 minus 0.143. Yes. So this is what I have done. First thing I have done. This also I have done. I have replaced the pivot by its reciprocal. And third one, pivot column element should be divided by pivot, that is 3.5, and its negative value is written. So pivot column is this. This is the pivot column. Now let us write the divide all of them. That is 0.75 divided by 3.5, but with a negative sign. Minus 0.75 divided by 3.5. The value is minus 0.21, correct? Minus 0.21. Next, this value 2.5, negative is minus 2.5 divided by 3.5. So the value is minus 0.71. Minus 0.71. Next is minus 1.75 becomes positive, plus we have to take 1.75 divided by 3.5, which is 0.15. Correct? So this negative will be converted into positive. So these are the values we got by taking this third point. Next, fourth point, other elements. Other elements means these. So what are the other elements? This one, these four. Total 6 elements are there. We will do one by one. So first I will take 2.25. So these other elements are replaced by previous value minus pivot row element into pivot column element divided by pivot. Okay. So what is the pivot row element corresponding to this? 3.5. Correct? Pivot column element 0.75. Correct? So we have this for this element, pivot row element is this, pivot column element is this. So that means 2.25 minus 3.5 into 0.75 divided by pivot element is 3 point. So this is what we have. What is the value? 1.5. So that 1.5 should be written here. Next, I will take up this 5.5. 5.5 minus corresponding pivot row element is 3.5 and column element is 0.5. Correct? Not 0.5, 2.5. Correct? 3.5 and 2.5. So minus 3.5 into 2.5 divided by 3.5. I think it is 3. This value is 3. Next, coming to 24.75. 24.75 minus corresponding to this pivot row element is 3.5. Pivot column element is minus 1.75. So it becomes 3.5 into minus 1.75 divided by 3.2. I think it is 26. Plus that. How much it is?
26.5.
26.5. Okay. Next. Here, 0.25. For this 0.25, it has to be replaced by 0.25 minus. For this corresponding row element is minus 0.5 and column element is, what is the column element? 0.75. So minus 0.5 into 0.75 divided by 3.5. What is
357.
point?
357.
3 minus 0.357. That minus 0.357. Next, for this 0.5. So for the 0.5 minus corresponding row element is minus 0.5, column element is 2.5. So minus 0.5 into 2.5 divided by 3.5. I think the value is minus 0.143, na?
143.
Minus 0.143. Next, lastly, 2.75. For 2.75, it is 2.75 minus, once again, corresponding row element is minus 0.5, column element is minus 1.75. So minus 0.5 into minus 1.75 divided by 3.5. The value
2.5.
2.5. 2.5, huh?
Yes.
For this it is, what is the value? No, mistake I have. This value, how much is this? It is not 0.857. Look, just check it out. 0.857, and last value comes out to be 2.5. Please check this one.
Yes.
Now we have got these new elements. So here in this last this thing, this becomes S2, this becomes S. Now what happens here? That is x1 is replaced by s2. Now the thing here is, you observe the last row. So this last row, all the elements are positive. None of the elements are negative. That means we can stop here. So all elements in the last row are positive. So none of the elements are negative. If any one of the elements become negative, then we have to do one more table in the iteration until we get all the elements positive. So we can stop here now. So once you stop here, now what are the values of x1, x2 and z? That you can read from this table. So here you can see what is the value of x1 here? x1 is this value. x2 is 1.5, z is 26 point. So like that we have, that is the final answer. So the final answer now here is, because all these are positive, this becomes the last step. So x1 you can read from this table, last table, x1 is 1, x2 is 1.5 and z is 26 point. So this is the solution of this. You can check the answer by taking the equation. So the given equation, that is the objective function, is z is equal to 10x1 plus 11x2. So 10 into x1 is 1 plus 11 into x2 is 1.5. So it becomes 10 plus 11 into 1.5. What is the value? I think it is 16.5. So if you add them, you get 26.5 is the answer. You can cross check at the end. So they are the basic variables. So basic variables are x1 and x2. Slack variables are s1, s2, s3. Okay. So we are not worried about slack variables. Finally, we want the value of x1 and x2. That means when x1 is 1 and x2 is 1.5, you have the maximum value of that this objective function z, which satisfies all these constraints. You can check the constraints also. So for example, how we check constraints? See here, 3 into x1 is 1, correct? Plus 4 into x2 is 1.5. So what is the value? 3 plus 6, 9. Correct. That means less than or equal to 9 is satisfied. Okay. Equal to 9 plus 1. Next second constraint you can check. 5 into 1 plus 2 into 1.5. That is 5 plus 3, 8. So it is less than or equal to 8. That is also satisfied. Next third one, x1 is 1 minus 2 times x2 is 1.5. It is less than or equal to what is the value you get? 1 minus 2 into 1.5 means 1 minus 3, that is minus 2. Definitely minus 2 is less than or equal to less than 1. Correct? Satisfactory. So that means minus 2 is less than 1. It is negative. So all the three constraints are satisfied. So that becomes the solution. So first, in the first table, you have to find out the pivot column and pivot row and pivot. Then to get the second table, these steps are important. Pivot row is divided by pivot. Pivot is replaced by its reciprocal. Pivot column is divided by, elements are divided by the pivot and take the negative of that, and other elements are replaced by using this expression, and then we have to repeat the iteration procedure till the last row, that is the values associated with z, they all become positive. None of them should be negative. So once they become positive, you can stop at that stage. Normally, in the exam you may get maximum 3 tables. So this is called as the simplex method for solving a linear programming problem. It's a maximization type of problem where the constraints are less than or equal